Hello, my name is Patrick Levins, and I'm going to be talking about insect bioluminescence and photosynthetic symbionts. Um, Bioluminescence is light produced by a chemical reaction within a living organism. It's a type of chemiluminescence, which is simply the term for a chemical reaction where light is produced. Most luminescent organisms are going to be found in the ocean. These bioluminescent marine species include fish, bacteria, and jellies. Some bioluminescent organisms, including fireflies and fungi, are found on land, but almost no bioluminescent organisms are native to freshwater habitats. There are no luminous flowering plants, birds, reptiles, amphibians, or mammals in nature. Though bioluminescence is generated by various organisms, it is highly developed in insects. Um, the chemical reaction that results in bioluminescence requires two unique chemicals, and that's luciferin and either luciferase or photoproteins. So, uh, luciferin is the compound that actually produces the light. In a chemical reaction, luciferin is the substrate. The bioluminescent color, like yellow in fireflies or greenish in lanternfish, are a result of the arrangement of the luciferin molecules. Uh, the order Coleoptera constitutes the largest bioluminescent group, in which several hundred species are known to contain highly developed photogenic organs. The best understood luminous insect belong to the Lampyridae, Elateridae, and Phingodidae families. The members of the Lampyridae are called either fireflies, or I was always called them lightning bugs. Their immature forms are commonly referred to as glowworms. Uh, an example of this is a click beetle. Its scientific name Pyrophorus noctilicus. Noctilicus, sorry. This beetle is the brightest of all insects. It has a brightness of 45 millilamberts. The insect is also known as the Jamaican click beetle and the Cujo beetle of the West Indies. The immature form of this beetle, the immature form of these beetles are called railroad worms. Their bioluminescence is similar to that of another group of beetles, the fireflies. Although the click beetles do not flash but remain constant glowing, uh, they can control the intensity of the light. For example, they become brighter when touched by a potential predator. They have two luminescent spots on their posterior corners of the pronotum and another brighter spot in the dorsal region of their abdomen. This spot's even brighter and can only be seen when in flight. Bioluminescent click beetles are found throughout tropical, subtropical, and temperate America. Adult beetles feed on pollen and sometimes small insects such as aphids or scale insects. Their larvae feed on various plant materials and invertebrates, including the larvae of other beetles. Eggs are luminous and are deposited either on or in the soil. And larvae, like eggs, are luminous. They grow slowly and pupate after an uncertain period of time. So I do have a quick video just showing the brightness. I'm not going to watch all this, but I wanted you to see the brightness of this. And that'll just give you a quick idea how bright they actually glow. So these bioluminescent insects have specialized organs, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. So bioluminescence observed in many organisms is a mostly mostly is attributed to an association with some kind of luminous bacteria. But insects have evolved special photogenic organs that produce light. These organs may occur in both sexes or may be restricted to females and immature forms, uh, particularly like your fireflies. The light organs in insects are situated very close to the body surface and behind a window of translucent cuticle. They may be found scattered anywhere from the head to the tip of the abdomen, including the thorax in adult insects. These organs are mostly on the ventral side of the thorax of the abdomen. Photogenic organs consist of a large number of specialized cells called photocytes. These cells are arranged cylindrically at right angles to the translucent cuticle, which permits light to pass through it, as you can see in that picture. Behind the photocytes, there's a reflecting surface, chiefly consisting of urate granules. The photocytes receive oxygen through air tubes or the tracheals. They also contain a heavy aggregation of mitochondria that supplies the ATP that's required for their chemical reaction. In most insects, the light that is produced is usually a yellow-green color, but the color of the light emitted varies from species, and the variation can be due to environmental factors or differences in the structure of the luciferase. So the light from bioluminescence can be used for many different purposes. Um, In many arthropods, the light from bioluminescence is used to lure the opposite sex from mating, or it can be used to attract prey or even as defense, as I put on there. Light is known as to act as a mating signal in fireflies. In certain species, the bioluminescence attracts individuals of the same species to aggregate, which improves their chances of mating. The light can also be used for predation. The most unique example of light acting as a lure for prey is found in New Zealand. It's a glowworm fly. Arachnocampaluminosa is its name. The female fly deposits eggs on the ceiling of dark caves, and then upon hatching, the larvae hang down and by a sticky thread and produce light. During the night, the entire cave glows with this light, and it attracts other insects species in there. These attracted insects get entangled in the sticky threads, and then they're preyed upon by these fly larvae. The caves inhabited by flies are popularly known as luminous caves, and it's actually a big tourist attraction in New Zealand. Another way these lights can be used is for defense, such as railroad worms. In railroad worms, the continuous glow of the head region when the larvae are walking suggests a possible illumination function, whereas the circumstances under which the lateral light organs are switched on suggest a defense function. Sudden flashes can repel potential predators. The railroad worm larvae live in high density, so they live really close proximity to each other, confined to small areas, and they may even work together, simultaneously emitting that light to help frighten off potential enemies. Or they may also use the light to intimidate the mated females about to lay eggs, to help keep from overcrowding happening in the competition for food sources still. So that's pretty neat. The next thing I want to talk about is photosynthetic symbiosis. Most animals with photosynthetic symbiosis are members of two different phyla, either Porifera, or the sponges, or Cnidaria, which include hydroids, corals, sea anemones, and jellyfish. So it's suggested that one factor contributing to the distribution of animal symbiosis is the morphologically simple body plan of the sponges and coral with a large surface area. The volume relationship well suited to the light capture by symbiotic algae in their tissue. Photosynthetic products are released from living symbiont cells to the animal host at a substantial rates. So we're seeing this symbiotic relationship more between the algae and animals from these families. So typically your sponges, your corals, your sea anemones. So I give the example on here of the coral and the zooxanthellae. Um, Most reef-building corals contain photosynthetic algae called zooxanthellae that live in their tissues. The corals and the algae actually have a mutualistic relationship. The coral provides the algae with a protected environment and compounds they need for photosynthesis, and then in return, the algae produce oxygen and help the coral to remove waste. Most importantly, zooxanthellae supply the coral with glucose, glycerol, and amino acids, which are the products of photosynthesis. The coral uses these products to make proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and to produce calcium carbonate. The relationship between algae and the coral polyps facilitates a tight recycling of nutrients in nutrient poor tropical waters. As much as 90% of organic material for photosynthetic produced by the zooxanthellae is transferred to the host coral tissue. This is the driving force behind the growth and productivity of the coral reefs. The corals have actually become obligate to the algae, so they need this for their survival. They would actually not survive without it. And I have a quick video that talks about this. It's going to talk about the bleaching of coral and how that happens. And so I'm going to skip a little ahead.
Collectively called hard or stony corals. They have names that match their shapes, names like staghorn, elkhorn, table coral, and even brain coral. A reef is made when many corals all grow next to and on top of each other over many, many years. And this structure is filled with sand and cemented hard.
And I'm going to skip a little bit ahead.
At night, they send out tentacles to catch little bits of drifting food. But this is not how coral polyps get most of their energy. That comes from an amazing partnership between the coral and several types of algae called zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae actually live inside some of the coral cells. Like plants, they convert the sun's light into food that gives the coral the energy to grow, reproduce, and build its stony skeleton. They also give corals their beautiful colors. The body of a coral polyp is actually almost transparent. When a coral has a healthy amount of zooxanthellae, it's red, gold, or many colors. But when a coral gets stressed, mainly due to high temperatures, the coral expels the algae. Without the algae, the coral bleaches. It loses its color, and more importantly, its main source of food. It becomes weak and more vulnerable to things like disease. If the water cools, corals can recover, but too long without the algae, and they'll die. Corals are dying, more and more often. What's happening, and why? Let's look for answers.
So that's the video discussing that. And so that is my presentation, and here are my references. Thank you.